Greetings, everyone. This is Curlon. I've got Captain Judas with me here this evening. We've got another Battle for Midway match. Today it's going to be Aces Wild India Outlaws versus Smoke Adder 505th. Division D matchup, Week 4. So for those who did not catch yesterday's matches, Week 4 puts us on Tourmaline Desert, Caustic Valley, and then either HPG Manifold, the Mining Collective, or Forest Colony.
Quite a few hot maps.
Yeah. And yet, the strategies don't seem to change that much. It seems to be brawl, 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 and more brawl for the most part.
I think we've seen a little bit of range. I think last night, it was, one of the teams brought 3 dragons. Seeing a little bit of the other match that's going on right now. I saw Bowser bringing PPC Ice Ferret. You can kind of do both, but yeah, I think brawl is where it's going to be at here.
Okay.
Word on the street is those smoke adders like to brawl a lot, so that's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. Having played with the 505th, that seems to fit into their comfort zone. So, in other news, I do have to apologize for one thing I said last night in the stream. I was saying that once a team killed the other team in its entirety, points don't matter at that point. I misread the rules. That was incorrect. It is still standard conquest rules, despite the fact that we're only running 3 cap. So, fortunately, it didn't come into effect in that match. But that's why I say I'm a caster and not a referee. Do not referee. That was interesting pronunciation. But yeah, anything I say is not official.
What can happen, though, is if they catch up on those kills, they still have to win by caps, but then they can use any of the cap points to do so.
Correct.
And with the way that these typically shake out, usually in that situation, there's plenty of time to catch. I don't think we've seen one this time around where a team hasn't been able to catch up using all 5 cap.
I want to say Div 1 or 2. I think it was 228 right. And someone else. They had a couple on Grim Portico that we ended up running the clock out before things could get flipped.
Grim Plexus. I think I thought it went up at that point.
But my memory is probably as good as my map strategy prediction, so...
Yeah, that was like 2 weeks ago, man. It's tough to think that far back.
Right, so... Still haven't gotten an invite to a lobby yet, which is kind of par for the course. Meanwhile, to introduce the teams that we're going to be seeing this evening. Home team, Aces Wild, India Outlaws. We've got Hectic 1, Black 6, Texas Ace, Alex 545, Jesder, McKillen, 250 Dragon, Jalik, Mad Turtle, and Keldebeski. For the away team, Smoke Adder 505th, Aiden M. Pride, Pilot Reel, Android 5000, Myantra, Rendition, Dialogue, Red Smith, Therax, Kingdom Come, Rattler 85, The Farseer, Hardcore, and Morticia Melon.
They got a lot of new pilots on that roster.
Yeah, as I understand it, the 505th squad is basically the training ground and entry point for Smoke Adders. I don't know if it formed for this year's World Championship or if it had been around prior, but when I managed to luck in with them for a little bit, it was mostly new players, and I give them full points. It was a little rough, but started to get the hang of things fairly quickly.
Great place to get started with comp play. 505 has actually been around for a while. Being a former Smoke Adder myself, I know that they've been around at least for 2 MRBC seasons. And then a lot of these guys do have some comp experience beyond that as well. Android 5000, Therax, and I think the team leaders there are Aiden and Zylog, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and Aiden in particular definitely has a good mind for strategy and calling out how the drop should roll. And looks like invites to the lobby are occurring.
Excellent. Unfortunately, I don't know too much about the Aces Wild pilots. I just know I've seen them a lot and out there in group. Good bunch of guys.
I've dropped with them before in faction play a couple years back. I'm horrible with names. I don't remember individual players, but fun group of guys to run around with. Actually, for the most part, I haven't really found a bad group of guys to run around with in MechWarrior, so. And apologize for the dead air, folks. Split attention between talking with you and talking with the teams to get things set up here. So in the meantime, I'm going to flip up to the first map of the evening, Tourmaline Desert. Aces being the home team is going to be in the upper right, Team 1. Smoke Riders will be dropping lower left, Team 2 side first. What we saw yesterday on this map was both teams basically charging to Theta, full bore, no brakes, and one big old brawl. So it'll be interesting to see if these two teams try anything different.
Yeah, drops 1 and 2 in Battle for Midway. That's typically how it goes, right? Not always a lot of a cap action going on. Typically, it's just a straight up fight, straight up brawl in the beginning. Right there in the middle. See Team 1 take this high ground quite a bit. Typically, you got Team 2 coming up through here, and then just a lot of action just right around this area. But who knows? We could be surprised. We could see some range action coming. I'm not going to rule it out.
I'd kind of actually like to see it. I've been trying on my own to get better at range trading on that map, which in public play is generally a pain, but I've seen some teams pull it off in other series very well, and it's hard with the tonnage limit to get the right mechs, but I'd like to see a team pull it off.
I want to see one of those nice long 7-10 minute drop 1s and 2s.
Yeah, it's nice on the longer matches when you can actually sit there and see the teams trying to outmaneuver each other, set up, fake, juke, reposition, as opposed to just you put the camera one spot and we'll watch them circle. So I think these two teams are fairly close to ready. The other thing I'm gonna And apparently I mispronounced Morticia's name. I apologize. The other thing I'm going to toss out there is I don't have any gift codes tonight, so unfortunately there won't be any giveaways. That said, I still want to see everyone making noise in chat.
Oh no, not a melon. Morticia may not be, but I certainly am.
I am certified potato myself.
Looks like they're just sorting out the lobby here a little bit, yeah, but I'd imagine we're going to be dropping any minute.
And as always, that last minute scramble to make sure you got all the settings correct for the lobby. We ran into a glitch with that last night with the time not being set for Caustic Valley, and no one likes a night drop on Caustic. Looks like we are going to be launching.
That time of day thing happens a lot. I wish they just kind of set that to default the day.
Yeah.
From the many comp matches I've been a part of where it had to be redropped because the time of day was.
I'm really curious how many people, I'd love to see the numbers, purposely set the time of day for something other than daytime in private lobby drops.
Maniacs, I tell you.
There can't be many of them. PGI's got to have the stats. Whether or not they'd ever actually let us see them, don't know.
Can't see numbers. That would be too much fun. All right. I'm excited. Drop one. Let's Judas.
Alright, so, Ace's Wild Side. We've got a couple Bushwhackers, Piranha, Assassin, Huntsman, and another Bushwhacker. That sounds brawly to me.
Command coming in.
Indeed, from Smoke Adder's side, we do have 3 Bushwhackers over here, a Huntsman, an Arctic Wolf, and a Piranha. Very similar decks coming from these guys.
Almost like they coordinated.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I suppose it's one of those things, like, you never want to show up at the same event wearing the same outfit, so you make sure your friends... Yeah.
Yep.
Smoke
Got
Adder's
Ace as
coming in
well.
from a different angle.
Yep, but Ace as well, taking that top stage area. Looks like one of the Smoke Adder's mechs is a range Huntsman. 2 PPCs. Interesting.
Yeah, and the Smoke Adders are going around the back. So this is not the normal setup for Brawl at Theta. Aces is aware of where they're going.
Yeah, if they can get in there though, they'd get some of these Aces mechs isolated.
Jalik and
Looks like they're ready to receive this though. A lot of mixing up here, a lot of individual battles going on. These guys really need to focus down some.
Oh,
Aiden goes down right away, got caught up.
Trading mechs left and right. It's starting to go in Ace's favor.
Yeah, it looks like Aces got out. They got down that range Huntsman, isolated him with the Piranha. And as always, these these first drops snowball pretty quick. That's what we're seeing. And this first drop's going to go Aces Wild.
Kingdom's going to give him a good run around for a bit first. Make life difficult for me trying to show the act. There, he's legged and dropped. And now to go cap it out with 9 minutes on the clock, plenty of time.
Fast brawl, kind of like we expected.
Yeah, just not where we expected.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now, looking at the team stats. Fairly decent damage spread for Aces, with Gesture and his Huntsman being the outlier at 414 damage. On the Smoke Adder side, even damage spread, just slightly lower numbers. Therax and his Bushwhacker doing 274, doing the bulk of the work. Red and his Huntsman really wasn't that big of an impact, but again, he got isolated and paid for it early.
Yep, he got caught out. Aces Wild, smart heads up play, seeing that Huntsman all alone, had used their Piranha to go take. Had a couple of kills with that Piranha. Good stuff.
Yeah. I do like what Smoke Adders was thinking, though, with that different setup. Just didn't quite execute as they hoped. So, update the scores. Actually.
So we saw both teams also taking 3 Bushwhackers. So we're gonna be seeing something different from their decks this time. From my experience too, in this particular rule set and map, I definitely prefer that team 1 side. Easy for SA to come right back, tie this up 1-1. Yeah, good strong position from that side. Lots of cover.
That
you
area
can kind
above
of dictate the terms of the battle.
Yeah, that area above Theta is nice and defendable. So, wipe the map strat. So Aces set up. In the usual area. The Adders, however, tried to rotate around. We ended up with the brawl here instead of on Theta. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens this time.
I like Desa's approach there. The problem with what they tried to do, and they could have got, if they would have got one of those Aces Wild mechs caught out, isolated, they had it kind of to begin with. But Aces respond really well, and they saw that whole push coming the whole way. They were able to set up a line, get a little bit more focus fire on. When you go this back route up through here, you're kind of forced through choke points then to kind of get up there and get into the brawl, while Aces Wild could just kind of hold their ground and get a lot of guns on the same mechs.
I also wonder if Smoke Adders would have been a little better not having the PPC Huntsman, but having something more brawly to be in the group. So when they engaged, it was the full force of 6 mechs instead of 5.
Yep, that's an excellent point. I like the idea of having that Overwatch mech out there, but also from that team 1 side, like we kind of mentioned, that stage area, that up high ground, there's a lot of cover there. So if you only have that 1 range mech, it's going to be hard for him to do some work and easy to catch out with one of your lights.
All right, looks like Aces is mostly in position. Smoke adders, not quite there yet. So we've seen the bushwhackers get used up. We start seeing assassins, hunchbacks this time around. Had Irbies popping up last evening. A Jenner 2C, which you really don't see that often anymore.
No, not anymore.
Resize did not help them any.
Sure didn't, but you can really pack those up, especially if you're running a splat deck. As long as you don't get shot, you can really put out some hurt.
Yeah. But that's the trick, is sticking around long enough to utilize the punch that the Splat 2C can bring. As a light pilot, I'm not quite good enough to pull that off.
Yeah, I played quite a bit of lights competitively, and I would never want to be in the Jenner. But that's a personal taste thing too. There's definitely plenty of guys out there that really make that mech work. I'm excited to see what these next decks are.
Well, looks like we'll be finding out shortly. Both sides say they're ready.
And away we go. No radio cast yet, right?
I hope not. Not that I'm aware of.
This been pretty on the ball with that.
Well, except for my audio screw up last night.
Yeah.
And just waiting for the music and the countdown to start. All right,
so coming in.
Smoke adders, 3 linebackers, piranha, 2 piranhas, and an Arctic wolf. That screams heavy brawl to me.
Oh yeah, I like that. On the Aces Wild side, they're bringing 3 Mad Dogs, a couple of piranhas, and a hunchback.
Now, if I remember correctly, the base 2C, that could be the delete button, dual UAC 20s.
It sure can, but it's a risky go. You get the jams with that. Looks like these Mad Dogs are your standard splice. Yeah.
Yeah, let's see what's in these linebackers. Linebacker A, 6 medium pulse, 5 medium pulse and 3 machine guns.
Caroline, to answer your question, this Hunchback 2C is 2 LB20s, and that's kind of my preferred build, especially for comp. You don't want to jam at the wrong time in these situations, so that's a little bit more. Still a good mech though.
Yeah, the main issue I have with the dual UAC 20 is the cooldown between, even when you haven't jammed, is horrible. And I've got a bad habit of, if I'm in a short range mech like that, I want to get in your face and tank, and that's just not the way to play that mech. You need to be selective.
Yeah, and we're seeing Aces Wild here taking a little bit more of a conservative approach than Smoke Adders did from that side. But Smoke Adders up in that stage area, up in that easily defendable high ground. So far, we're just kind of trading some strikes back and forth, it looks like.
Yeah, looks like Farseer was the only one to... Oh, no, Morticia felt that strike a bit too.
SA's going to want to watch out here. They're getting a little spread out. So it'll either be good for them or bad. Oh, interesting choice. Aces Wild pushing right up through that choke point, going to go right in the middle of him.
Meanwhile, McKillen in the Piranha thought he had a linebacker isolated, but Two other units have rejoined. This is a split fight now.
Sure is. Got two battles going on. We got a one-on-one with the Hunchback and one of the linebackers.
Morticia legged quickly and taken out by Aces.
Traded 1-for-1, but percentages are in favor for Aces Wild here. Smoke Adder's got some pretty hurt mechs out there.
Another down for the Smoke Adders. Aiden's given chase and runs into two Mad Dogs. Quickly looks to get terrain on his side by going over the ridge. It's very strongly in Ace's favor now as they recongregate.
Last linebacker is down for Smoke Adders. Now it's just Therax left in the...
And for anyone getting motion sickness from my controls, as a spectator, I apologize. They're running around all over the place.
Yeah, but some of those ghosty changes now, we're seeing a lot more of these laser piranhas versus the machine gun. And their 1v1 has just become a 3 versus 1.
The enemy has capped enough resources.
Well done on Ace's part.
Yep, they're really doing a good job. Once the brawl gets going, they're getting their focus down and they're getting their focus fire down and really teaming up and taking mechs out.
Yeah, and that push up through the valley was interesting. That's normally a no-go zone. And instead, they managed to work that into a nice split of the Smoke Adder squad.
Yeah, it seemed to work for them. With Smoke Adders, they got kind of spread out in that position, right? So you had some of those guys trying to. It was almost kind of like a little mini NASCAR. They got strung out. Aces Wild were able to use that. While it was a choke point, they're able to push kind of right in between them and kind of cut and divide and get some unfair back. Wow, Alex 545 though, doing work in a Mad Dog. 507 for damage, 4 kills, 2 assists.
Now on the Smoke Adder side, damage spread a little less balanced than last time, with 2 Smoke Adders getting up to about 300 damage. It was just very effective divide and conquer on Ace's part. So now we move on to Caustic Valley. And the tonnage goes up. So now is when I think if we're going to see anything other than pure brawl, this is when it could start to come out. You've got the tonnage now. The map has some angles you can work to do more trading. Will they go for it?
It's also a map where it's not necessarily the biggest. I mean, this is something where getting around and playing the cap points is going to play a little bit more weight than those first couple of drops on turn.
And the challenge being that if you're going to go trying to control on cap points, there aren't good spots where you can have overwatch of multiple cap points in a given position. Theta is kind of shielded in all directions. You're not going to control Kappa from Epsilon, so be interesting.
There are actually some higher points along the outsides of the map where you can kind of overwatch both of those cap areas. I'm not the strategist here. I just know from playing on some teams. Remember, you only need to mainly control 2 caps to hold that. So it's actually kind of doable.
Okay.
I'm still thinking though that we're probably just going to have some more brawling though. I think that's what we saw a lot of last night from the little bit I was able to catch. I don't think that's going to change here.
Yeah, last night was straight up in their face brawls, including a push straight across the caldera, which caught me by surprise. Usually teams try to skirt that to avoid the heat penalty going through there, but no, they trucked right through it.
And I haven't dove in myself, but maybe with the heat changes, now it just isn't as big of a factor as it might have been in previous comp.
Yeah, that's a thought. With the higher dissipation, I'll have to test that. And personally, I am kind of liking the higher dissipation and where the game is at the moment. It's nice seeing them put in mech-specific quirks to give them unique flavor again.
Yeah, I think this last patch was a good one. Whether people feel that it made Laser Bomb even stronger, or, even better than it was before, I think it added in a little bit of that fun that we've been missing from previous patches, and I think that's, if anything, it's changed something where you can do something a little bit different, and I think that's what's important, especially in a game, at this point in its lifespan.
Yeah, this game is what, 6 years old now? And got to do something to keep people interested. I like the more aggressive push for events now. That seems to be bringing players out, a little bit more variety in the event goals, and yeah, this last patch, as far as mechanics changes, seems to be going in the right direction. I'll just see if they can keep the progress up. So meanwhile, just waiting for the teams to get pilots in and arranged.
Do you remember what you saw in the match last night that you had cast?
Yeah, basically both times it was pushes to the Team 2 side of the caldera from Theta, and that's where the brawls took place. If it looks like it's going to take them a little bit, I can actually pull that up. Aces is saying they're locked in, so potentially don't have the time, unfortunately. Let's see here. So, they've got 6 players, so they should be locking in pretty quick, but looking at the first drop, yeah, they pushed in and fought along the caldera on the Team 2 side of Theta, right along the rim. Fourth drop, same thing.
More of the same.
Yep. So we'll see how this drop compares. Meanwhile, if people weren't aware, there should be another match going on the main MRBC League feed as well. You use Khadgar or Multi-Twitch or other sites to get both going in one window if that's your style. If you want to double up on your Battle for Midway action.
And who doesn't? Am I right?
I was kind of hoping someone was going to get both matches going on separate displays of a VR headset last night when we had 2 matches going, just to see if they got a 3D effect when we randomly lined up on drops.
Yeah, I saw that.
That might be taking the doubling up on Battle for Midway action a bit too far. Oh, Smoke Adders reshuffling their deck. Now, if they're going to do that, while they're shuffling, I'm going to pull up yesterday's match. This is drop 3. Oh, we're not going to get
like we
to
are
the match.
dropping.
Yeah, so I'll flip over to that. One of these days, I'm going to look at a log trace of just what MWO is actually doing when it comes to loading a game and why it takes so long.
It's doing all of the things.
Command coming in. Capture and hold the
Okay,
resource point. Stop any
so
hostiles
Aces
from
Wild
getting
are
your way.
bringing linebacker Eben Jag, Hellbringer, linebacker, Eben Jag.
I like that deck. On Smoke Adder's side, we've got a couple of Madcat Bees. We got a Nightjar, a Hellbringer, Hunchback 2C. That's the regular one, and one of those Urban Mechs you were talking about.
Slowly making their way into comp. So Aces is pushing straight for Theta. Smoke Adders are looking to skirt around the perimeter, going high and to the right. Aces is set up on the Caldera.
You were talking about that Ultra 20 Hunchback. That is what Smoke Adders have brought. We'll see if it's able to do some work here on Caustic Valley.
Looks like Aces has noticed where Smoke Adders have set up. They're rotating. The engagement has started. Smoke Adders have a bit of a firing line, kind of stretched out. Positioning isn't optimal.
It looks like Aces are going to swing up high and crash in on him from the flank here. So I don't know if Smoke Adders have seen them coming around this side.
No, they were not ready for it. So Aces smashes into him, and they're able to get through the choke point before Smoke Adders can react. They drop the Hellbringer quickly.
Wow, they just focused him down. That was great focus fire. They're isolating targets. They're really working good as a team here. They see that the Mad Cats are dangerous targets, so they're pushing past everybody else, trying to get in on them.
Aiden's
Mad
gonna
Cat
get some
beast
free
definitely
back
can't
shots.
ignore.
Working the Eben Jag from the back. Eben responds. Another unit down for the Smoke Adders. Their axe is about to drop in his Mad Cat.
A lot of hurt mechs on Ace's Wild side, though.
Yeah.
Low percentages.
Aiden doing work in his Night Gyre. Although he's now collecting back shots and
he
gets
got
dropped.
focused down.
Three on one versus the Irby. As tanky as they are, they can't survive that. And down to the Boar Hunchback. Overheats.
Yeah, that UAC 20 build's kind of hot on a cold map. So.
Yeah, even with the quirk. You start double tapping, it pumps the heat out. So Smoke Adder's not able to get a kill.
But that was actually a pretty close match, all things considered. If you look at the percentages for Ace's Wild, there's a lot of hurt mechs there. One of those Eben Jags down to 26. Alex in an Eben Jag, 40%. A couple guys that are close to 50 or below it. If Smoke Adders could have just maybe picked a few of them off or found those targets a little quicker, then it might actually snowballed their way.
Yeah. So, looking at damage numbers, fairly even across the board for Aces. Aiden doing excellent work in the Night Gyre for Smoke Adders at 494 damage. Redsmith and the Hellbringer, unfortunately, just happened to be the one mech at the start of the line when Aces smashed through, focused down quickly, not able to really put up much damage.
Unlucky spot for him.
Yep. So good on Aces for reading Smoke Adder's positioning and responding to it. Would have liked to have seen the Smoke Adders reacted a little bit better. I think they could have had a bit more of a fighting chance with just a bit better initial response.
I think what really just won that match was Ace's Wild saw where the Smoke Adders were, and they simply just made the right call. They went up high and hit them on the flank. It's tough to come back from that. Even though Smoke Adders, I think, kind of they accepted the push pretty good. They had their Mad Cats in some good spots, but again, heads up play by Ace's Wild. They took down that Hellbringer and then immediately started focusing on those Mad Cats. Not a mech that you want to leave on the battlefield to keep mowing you down. Give it a little bit of time; it'll do a lot of damage.
Well, it looks like there was some issues on the Smoke Adder side that might have contributed to them not responding as well as they could have. So, let them have a moment to get things sorted. So while they do that...
I've had that happen before in a comp match right before we were going to drop. It was being casted. Our comm server just took a puke, and we had to kind of wing the first drop, and it was a bit of chaos. I've been in those shoes before. That's tough.
So while we wait for that, seeing as I've got So unfortunately, because of the 5-minute delay, you won't be able to see what's going on, but I've got that match back up on the instant replay. And you can see Smoke Adders setting up their line to receive on top of the caldera and stringing out to the edge. Aces responding. They've spotted the change in position. They're looking, they see where the Smoke Adder line is. They stop their advance, and then you can see that the call is made, go up through the caldera. Hectic was either a little slow to respond to the call or was purposely hanging back to give the Smoke Adders a hope of something to shoot at as kind of a decoy maneuver to delay their response to the push over the perimeter. And then into the brawl.
Yeah, that was just all around great movement on Ace's Wild side. They executed very well, I guess is what you'd say.
Yes. And then, as we found out now, Smoke Adders had communications issues, so they weren't able to communicate and respond as a unit as good as they could have. So we didn't see them at their best. So, tables turned. Everyone on different sides. What do you think we're going to see this time?
I think we're going to see something very similar, but I expect the Smoke Adders to maybe be a little bit more aggressive. That last time, they clearly knew where Ace's Wild were, but they let Ace's Wild kind of take the initiative, do the strong movement there. I'm going to expect now that SA's probably back on comms somewhere, they're tucking that match over. And I'm going to imagine that the general sentiment is that we need to be more aggressive. And they need to take the initiative rather than sitting there and trying to react to what Ace's Wild are going to do. It's like there's some Ace's Wild hype going on and
Excellent. And minor gaffe on my part, Tournament TV and Mapstrat trying to fight for the same real estate. Get that corrected.
that last time around again, Ace's Wild doesn't seem to be afraid to burn a mech all on the same drop. Last round they were bringing the 3 line back. I wonder what they're going to bring this time. I think Orion 2CA is a popular pick in this situation. They seem to be brawling it out. I wonder if they're going to bring some of those.
Now, do you bring the Orions now, or do you save them for drop 5, where you've got more tonnage to play with? So if you're going to bring them, you can bring lots of them.
That's true. What are the maps for the map and HP? The other 2?
So we can do HPG, Mining Collective, or Forest Colony.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the Onions might be a good pick for the Mining Collective as well. If it was up to me, I would bring the I'd bring the Orion 2Cs on this particular match. Those last drop 5, you have a lot of tonnage to deal. You can still bring a lot of assaults. In fact, from my little bit of experience, sometimes it's tough just to eat up all the tonnage even for that drop, depending on what.
Oh, and I apologize for those watching. I may have had the team labels flipped on that last match. This is what happens when you get an overtired caster with no prep time.
We are at. We're just waiting for the drop ships to show up. Sure, SA's back on comms. They're like, let's go out there and let's Judah.
That looks better. Smoke Adder's label over the Smoke Adders. Alright, so on the Smoke Adder side, Evan Jag, Mad Cat 2, Jaeger Mech, Urban Mech, 2 Night Gyres. And
on the Aces Wild side, Am I a Mind Reader? We have 3 Orion 2CA. We have a Thunderbolt. It's nice to kind of see those in comp again. We have a Warhammer 6D, the energy variant, as well as an Arctic Wolf.
Yeah, the changes in heat seem to have favored the Thunderbolts quite a bit. I'm enjoying bringing my top dog out in pub play again, actually.
Yeah, I really enjoy that mech.
So
it's in a great spot right now. But the comp go-to would be the 5SS, which Aces Wild have brought on this side. Just a little bit less energy. Aces Wild grouping up here on the edge of the cul-de-sac.
Smoke Adders, kinda.
Seems like Smoke Adders are going to spread out. They're expecting a big push from them. So instead of being the aggressors like I had talked about, it seems like what they want to do is spread out, take and be in a spot where they can all focus down without getting all stuck up on each other. That's going to be a great thing. Looks like Aces Wild are going to play into Smoke Adder's plan here. Is Smoke Adder's going to be able to execute?
Theta is controlled by the enemy.
So uncontested, they're going to take Theta while they're there. They're aware of the Smoke Adder's position. Morticia was able to get a couple pot shots in. Don't know if they connected, but at least was able to announce their presence. And Aces is content to sit.
Yeah, they're making a lot of good decisions here. So they know that SA is sitting down there expecting them to push into them. They have a good spot, not a place I'd want to push into. So they've decided that they're just going to hold the edge of the rim and play the cap game. With cap control, they're going to be able to force Smoke Adders out of their good defensible position here and force them to make a move.
So it looks like the Irby is heading off from the Smoke Adders. Aces has a unit about to cap Kappa as well.
Yeah, it's a Streak Arctic Wolf that they have sitting up.
That's interesting that he's hesitated before. There he goes.
Kappa is under enemy control.
Smoke Adders now realize they have to do something and are starting to march up. Aces have adjusted their position to receive. Keldebeski's Orion taking a bit of a faceful there, looking over the edge.
So SA still got some mechs that are sitting back. Ooh, Aiden's taking oh man. Aiden's the only one that was poking over. It makes it easy for Ace as well to focus him.
Yeah, now they're going after Myanta. And in goes Aces. They smell blood in the water.
Good teamwork. Those Orion 2CAs, they put out a lot of hurt really fast. It's hard to fight against that.
My anti-suspect is going to be the next drop, and does. Now it looks like they're focused on the Jaeger mech. 4-on-1, not a fight he's going to win. Now it's 5-on-1 versus the Farseer.
We do have a 1-on-1 going on with the Urban Mech and the Streak Arctic Wolf. Even percentages. But here comes backup. His 1-on-1 is about to change rather quickly.
Arm gone on the Urban Mech.
The enemy has capped enough resources.
Well played.
Failed.
Aces Wild, once again, they have some hurt mechs out there. 62, 63%. At Arctic Wolf at 46. Again, though, kind of like last draw, Aces Wild executed really well on that one. They didn't push into a bad spot. They made the other team play into what they wanted to do.
So now, interestingly, looking at the damage scores, the Farseer is only listed as having 3 points of damage. He was not the first to drop.
Issues.
Yeah. I saw him firing. So that's interesting. I'll have to go back and review that.
But Alex 545 once again on Aces Wild side, 721 damage in his Orion 2C. Kill, 5 assists. Yeah, those Orion 2CAs really put in a lot of work here. 628, 400. Whew.
Right, so now we go to the map ban portion of the evening. So as noted before, 3 possible maps: HPG Manifold, Mining Collective, or Forest Colony.
What did you see last night?
Last night we were on HPG Manifold, I believe.
I think the other match last night, they ended up on Mining Collect.
Yeah, Mining Collective is just a comfortable map for most players, I think. The strategies are pretty well known by most people. Although, first map banned, mining by 505th.
Yep.
So, comfortable or not, we're not going there. I personally like Mining Collective in a comp setting. It's a map that I think I can drop into most groups, and even if I haven't played with them before, figure out what the pattern is and match it. Again, because it's just a comfortable map for myself and a lot of players, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's not too big. Pretty straightforward. A lot of good angles, a lot of familiar angles. It's kind of hoping we might get some forest because you don't see too many matches on there, but I don't think that'll be.
Well, I see the map set to HPG Manifold, so I might have gotten to back to the lobby too late to miss the first banning. So that would have meant Aces banned Forest Colony. Which, depending on the side you're on, I can see banning Forest. That map seems to be one of those ones that one little mistake and the game snowballs quickly.
If there's a tree that you can get stuck on Forest Colony, I'm sure to find it every single time. That is my Forest Colony experience. But HPG, this is going to be a good one with all this weight. I'm really excited to see what happens. You can do a lot of different things on.
Yeah, I mean, you can go straight up brawl, you can go trade, or seen this before, even with just a 6-mech drop, you can actually have a couple mechs doing trade up on the walls, etc., while you've got mechs brawling it out because you've got good view angles.
Yep, absolutely. It wouldn't be unusual to see a team at least put one mech up there on the wall to get sight lines, scout out the enemy team. Even just doing general harassing with large lasers or some PPCs. I wouldn't be surprised if we see any of that. We have seen some teams that also want to kind of turtle. When HPG was drops 3 and 4, I think we saw the Wild Ones versus Smoke Adders 373, where the Wild Ones turtled up in the basement there on Theta and kind of made that Smoke Adder team play into their hands too.
Yeah, this is a map where you can work control. And if you can get a couple caps and keep people from thinking about them, you can sit back. You can also avoid a brawl on this map, unlike some others. If you've got the right mechs, jump the walls, get out of brawl range, force the issue.
The kind of tonnage we have going on here, though, I don't think we'll see too many mechs that can be jumping the wall. But certainly at least 1 or 2 up there. Why not?
But, yeah, potentially on how things go, it only takes the one hiding out there to wreck someone's day. Or just be really obnoxious for 12 minutes. So while they switch that up, I am going to go back and take a look at the Farseer in that last match, because that just 3 damage seems bizarre.
Yeah, if I remember correctly from what I saw at the end of the match, he was at pretty full health. So I'm just wondering if he might have DC'd in the middle of that or had some sort of tech.
Okay, so Aiden was the first one down. There's the Farseer. Definitely scored a hit on Myanta. I can't see his mech specifically at the moment, but I don't see any lasers coming from his direction. There he is. One side has locked in. Yeah, I think something was going on. They just saw him basically just blasting lasers into the air and then not move for a bit. So I think you might be right. There's something possibly going on network level. And he was the last mech to drop before the light fight. Yeah, that was bizarre. So, while we wait, what's going on in chat at the moment?
Looks like the aces are out.
Gotta be some Smoke Adder fans out there somewhere. Come on, chat. Okay, that's looking like we're gonna be launching here in a moment. There we go.
All right, drop 5.
Yeah, it looks like you've got someone else that doesn't like trees in Mech Warrior.
I mean, who does?
Yeah, the running gag in C4, especially when you drop on Forest or one of the other heavily treed maps, is to run around smashing as many as possible with your mech to get that fresh pine scent on it. But we're not right in the head, so... Alright, Aces Wild are bringing Arctic Wolf, a couple Mad Cat 2s, Cyclops, and 2 Warhammers.
Cyclops, I like that. On the Smoke Adders side, oh yeah, here we go. They're bringing a couple of Annihilators, really using the tonnage there. They got a Hellbringer, they got a Huntsman. I'm sorry, that's 2 Hellbringers, a Huntsman and a Summoner. I'll try to take a look here, but that seems a little rangy to me.
So Aces grabbing their back cap at Epsilon, slowly making their way in. Smoke Adders, meanwhile, 2 units up on the wall, while the rest of the squad filters in through the middle gate. And what a surprise, neither team is all that swift about getting into position.
So the Summoner, as you could expect, that's double PPCs, but this is a really interesting Huntsman build that I'm looking at here. It's 2 ER large lasers, and then he's also got 2 ATM. So he'll be able to harass from up there on the wall, and then I guess drop in and put on some hurt when they get.
Now, looking at Aces, I'm seeing large and medium pulse lasers primarily, with a little bit of Ultra 5, Ultra 10. Zylog up there taking some pot shots for Smoke Adders.
Yeah, Ace is being really conservative here. They want to fight the battle probably around where they are here. We'll see. We'll see how Smoke Adders react to this, and see if maybe they can steal a point and have them play into them, or if they decide to be the aggressors here. They do have 2 Annihilators. That's pretty aggressive in my book.
Both sides just slowly setting up position. Smoke Adders were thinking about the top, but have changed their mind. I think they're getting intel from Zylog.
Yeah, they don't seem to be interested in playing the cap game at all here.
Yeah, which is interesting.
They're getting set to push right into this firing line that Aces Wild has. But you mentioned that they see more brawly medium pulse, so
large
let's
and
see
medium.
how this plays out.
Yeah, and I don't... Okay, good. They've separated. I didn't like seeing all 4 of Smoke Adders balled up on the same ramp. They've broken that up. Annihilators are peeking first, collecting a little bit of initial damage.
Yeah, this is good on SA's side because they're kind of pushing Aces Wild back into a corner.
Yeah, they've actually gotten Jalik and his Mad Cat Do down to 90% already.
Looks like they're going to trade some strikes here.
Zylog using his position up high to get some pot shots in where he can. Both sides fairly comfortable in there. Oh, Therax, bad trade.
Not a good peek there on his part. SA wants to be careful here about how they peek. They can't just peek one mech at a time if they're. Looks like Ace is Wild looking to get a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, they're slowly starting to march forward. I think they've recognized that they out DPS the Smoke Adder builds, and are now going to go in.
Percentages are really starting to fall. Both of those annihilators are getting focused on Smoke Adder's side. They're both down to 66.
If that was a Smoke Adder strike, that was fairly decent. Softened up the aces a little bit. So looking back, I see Zylog. Not seeing shots from him as often as I would expect. Looks like Aces is being very effective in limiting the lines they give him. Aces is now focusing him from down below.
They've kind of put themselves down low, though. If SA can be heads up about this, they might be able to really take advantage of that. You got 4 Aces Wild mechs down low in this hole, kind of towards the basement.
It seems like the Smoke Adders don't know how to approach it, though. Well, there goes the Annihilator. They had a couple mechs walk up, take a look, but there was no coordinated commitment there.
Yeah, they got to be peeking at the same time here, so they're not just exposing one mech at a time. Oh, no.
Zylog kills himself. Morticia is about to get focused. Well, they turn their attention to Mantra and the Summoner. 3-on-1, 4-on-1. And that just leaves Morticia. That went quick. And Jalek with the Mad Cat finishes her off with some Ultra AC fire. So, looking at the numbers, Morticia putting up good numbers in Hellbringer, 553 damage. Aiden Pride and his Annihilator, 373. It kind of tapers off. Again, Farseer with only 28. Something seems off there. On the Aces side, slightly more even spread with the Mad Cat 2s, Jalek and Alex, putting out the peak numbers at 656 and 660, respectively. Cyclops only putting 192 down. The Arctic Wolf at 125 basically was doing his job. Didn't have a light to chase down, so that doesn't surprise me.
I don't think that Cyclops had checked his build. He is running SRMs. I just don't think he was ever able to quite catch the fight.
Yeah. So, put the final scores up. That makes it a 5-0 for Aces Wild. With Smoke Adders not able to get a kill. So, as I noted, I don't have any codes to give away this evening.
And you know what I will say here, even though it was 5-0 Aces Wild, some of these matches were pretty cool. And I don't think that the scoreboard necessarily reflects that. There was a couple of drops where Aces Wild were really beat up, and Smoke Adders they were just a few shots away from maybe turning it into their.
Yeah, they're right on the cusp of hitting that next level of play. I think it's tough when you're at the edge and you haven't made that breakthrough yet, because these matches can be a little rough to take, but you get your teeth, you get through it, and when you finally do make that breakthrough and hit the next level of play, and I think they're right on the edge of doing that, it makes all the difference. You're right, it would have been just one or two tiny little tweaks, and Smoke Adders would have been right there.
And I think the experience on the Aces Wild side shows. Aces Wild has been involved in comp for a while as well. I guess I don't know the history of this particular team, but it's some names that I have seen around for a while. And the Smoke Adder team, the 505, has been around for a while, but I know they've experienced quite a bit of turnover here. And they're still trying to learn and trying to gel together. So still some close matches out there. Like you said, I think they're right on the edge of trying to figure some of this stuff out. But Aces Wild, that experience paid off. They executed really well. They had an answer for everything that SA tried to do. I mean, it really showed. They were able to execute their plan and play on their terms. And that's the easy way to win, right?
Yep. And the one thing I will say for the Smoke Adders, I did like that there was some thought to the strategy. It wasn't just a bunch of mechs drop and wing it. You could see that they had tested this stuff out. They went into these drops with a plan, and it was different plans than what I've seen in prior matches from other teams. So they weren't just playing copycats, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I thought drop 4, they had an excellent plan. They were spread out. They were going to accept the push from Aces Wild. Again, just heads up play on Aces Wild part. They didn't push it. SA needs to be able to push SA or push the Aces into their firing line. And you can't really do that without map control. And that's what they gave up. A lot of good ideas out there. They'll get it together.
Yeah. I think we'll be seeing more of the 505th as comp goes on. I look forward to it. So on that note, I think I'm going to wrap things up. Thank you for jumping in on real short notice, Captain Judas. I love having help.
It's a pleasure to be here. I like doing this. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it is a good time. Different being back here doing overview as opposed to actually being in the hot seat during a match.
Absolutely. I also have catchphrases and stuff, so that's kind of fun.
I wasn't going to point those out, but I'm sure people have noticed.
Yeah, it's going to be a thing.
Actually, you've got fans in chat, so...
They're everywhere, Erlon. They're everywhere.
Nice. On that note, again, thank you, and this has been Battle for Midway. Look forward to seeing more matches. Catch you all later.